You've probably seen this happen before. A project's got the perfect plan, all the money it needs, the best tech, and it still just completely goes off the rails. Why? Well, 9 times out of 10, it's not a technical glitch. It's a people problem. So today, we're going to solve the puzzle of how to lead the very people who can make or break everything you're trying to build.
Okay, first things first, let's get a really critical distinction out of the way. On one side, you've got management. That's all about control, systems, processes, doing things right. It's the how and the when. But on the other side, that's leadership. This is about influence, vision, and doing the right things. This is about people. It's the what and the why. See the difference? You can manage a spreadsheet, but you have to lead a team. It is a totally different ballgame. And that leads us to the million-dollar question, right? In the messy, complicated world of a real project, with all its moving parts and different personalities, what does a great leader actually look like? Well, the answer isn't some rigid job title. It's more like a really versatile toolkit.
So the very first tool in that kit is all about analysis. You can't lead anyone if you don't understand the landscape you're in. You've got to map out your world to figure out who's who and where the real influence is coming from.
Let's start with a key term, stakeholder. Now, this isn't just your boss or your main client. It is literally anyone, a person, a whole department, even an outside company, who has some kind of skin in the game. Anyone who can affect your project or be affected by it. And trust me, they can either be your biggest champion or your worst nightmare. And this image? This just nails it. We tend to think of power as a simple top-down pyramid, but that's not reality. In a project, you're sitting in the middle of a 4-way intersection. Influence is coming from upwards, your sponsors, from downwards, your team, from sidewards, your fellow managers, and outwards, from customers, vendors, you name it. Your job is to be the air traffic controller for all of it. So, how in the world do you start to untangle this web? Well, you draw a map, and one of the simplest, most effective maps out there is the power/interest grid. It is a fantastic way to figure out who you really need to be paying attention to, which helps you decide where to spend your precious time and energy. Think of this grid as your game plan. See that top right quadrant? High power, high interest, those are your VIPs. You need to manage them closely. But what about those folks with high power but low interest? You've got to keep them satisfied, because if they become unhappy, they can cause major problems. Then you've got your low power, high interest people. Keep them informed. They can be amazing advocates for your project. And everyone else? Just monitor them. This isn't just a boring chart. It's your guide to communicating effectively with everyone. But let's be real, sometimes power and interest just don't tell the whole story, do they? For those really complex projects, you need a little more nuance. And that's where something called the salience model comes into play. It adds a crucial third dimension to our map. So the first component is power. And we already know this one. It's pretty straightforward. It's a stakeholder's ability to make things happen, to directly influence where the project is going. Next up, we have legitimacy. This one basically asks a simple question. Do they belong in this conversation? Is their involvement actually appropriate and valid? A safety inspector has legitimacy. A random guy tweeting about your project probably doesn't. And the last piece of the puzzle here is urgency. How badly do they need your attention right now? Is their issue a fire drill or a get-to-it-next-week kind of thing? When you combine these three, power, legitimacy, and urgency, you can instantly cut through all the noise and see who you need to deal with right now. Okay, so we've mapped out the world, we know who the players are, we know what they care about. Now it's time to actually do something. So let's open up the second part of our toolkit, the part that's all about choosing the right leadership approach. So I want you to think of leadership less like a single style and more like a whole spectrum of options. All the way on one end, you can be totally hands-off, laissez-faire. On the complete opposite end, you can be super directive, giving clear instructions. And there's a whole bunch of styles in between. You can be transactional, focusing on goals and rewards, or transformational, focusing on inspiring your team. The big takeaway here is that none of these are inherently good or bad. They're just different tools for different situations. I want to pause for a second on one of these in particular, the servant leader. This is a game-changing idea. It basically flips that old-school power pyramid completely upside down. Instead of the team working to serve the leader's entire job is to serve the team, to help them grow, learn, and to knock down any roadblocks in their way. It's about enabling their success, not just commanding them. So with all these different styles, which one's the best? See, that's a trick question. There is no single best style. The truly effective leaders, they're like chameleons. They're adaptable. They don't have one way of doing things. They have a whole range, and they know exactly which style to pull out for any given situation. And this right here is where it all comes together. This is the idea of situational leadership. It's where our analysis of our stakeholders connects directly to our choice of leadership style. Honestly, mastering this one concept is what will take you from being just a good project manager to being a truly great leader.
The core idea is actually pretty simple, but it's so powerful. Your leadership style shouldn't be about what you're comfortable with. It has to be about what the other person needs from you. And we can figure that out by looking at two things: their competence, so their actual skills, and their commitment, their motivation and confidence.
And here it is, the roadmap that brings it all to life, the situational leadership model. It looks complicated, but it's not. Along the bottom, you have the development level of your team member, from a complete beginner to a total pro. And on the side, you have your leadership behaviors, from very hands-on and directive to very hands-off and supportive. The genius of this is that it shows you exactly how to match what you do to what they need.
So let's just walk through it. Say you have an enthusiastic beginner. They're excited, but they don't know what to do. You start by directing. You give them clear step-by-step instructions. Then, as their skills grow, but maybe their confidence wavers a bit, you shift into coaching mode. You still give direction, but you also give a lot of support and explain the why. Once they become capable but are still a little hesitant, you move to supporting. Less direction, more collaboration. And finally, when they're a self-reliant pro, you just delegate. You trust them, empower them, and get out of their way.
All right, let's pull all these threads together. We've figured out how to map our world, and we've learned how to adapt our style to the situation. This is the bridge, the connection that lets you turn your understanding of influence into real, measurable impact. This is what leading with purpose is all about. But look, remember that all these models and grids are just the tools. The engine that makes it all work is powered by fundamental human skills. Things like persuasion, active listening, and most importantly, building mutual trust. Without these, the best analysis in the world is totally useless. So, if you only remember one thing from all this, let it be this. Great project leadership is not about command and control anymore. That's the old way. Today, it is a dance between three things: analysis, really knowing your people; adaptation, choosing the right approach for them; and influence, bringing everyone together to achieve something amazing. And I'll leave you with a challenge. Think about your project right now. Your team, your boss, that tricky client. Who is one person, one stakeholder that you know you might be mishandling? And based on what we've talked about, what leadership style do they really need from you starting first thing tomorrow?